Thank you, Representative Cummings. Vice Chairman Brady.
Well, Chairman, first, I apologize for being late, but I want to thank you for your leadership of the Joint Economic Committee. You've been a terrific leader, been tremendous to work with. I really appreciate your approach and just how you handle yourself in this committee. So thank you very much for your years of work on this committee. Thank you. Appreciate it. I think there is a bit of a consensus in the sense that it is irresponsible to voluntarily go off this cliff, but it'd be equally irresponsible to come to a solution that doesn't address the key issues facing us, both in authentic spending discipline, in fixing this broken tax code, and dealing with our biggest challenges in Social Security and Medicare. And so I want to ask two quick questions, one to Dr. Hassett, one for Dr. Zandi. And to you, Dr. Hassett, obviously economic growth works. Just an average recovery in this recession would have cut the deficit from $1.1 trillion to $430 billion. So more than half, just getting the economy going, returning to the pre-2008 levels. What's missing today, we know consumer spending is above what it was before the recession. We know government spending is above what it was before the recession. Business investments in buildings, equipment, software, that area that actually drives job creation is what continues to lag. In your view, do you think raising taxes on the two marginal rates as well as capital gains and dividends, does that encourage more business investment in the economy?
No, and I think that the threat of those increases is a very big, significant negative. Mr. Brady, one of the things that economists use when they teach graduate classes in tax is something called the Handbook of Public Economics. And probably you at some point had to study that too, Mark. I know I did. And in one of the later editions, there's a chapter on how taxes affect business capital spending that was co-authored by myself and Glenn Hubbard of Columbia University. And we've go into very, very gory detail about how negative this can be. But the fact is that dividend taxes, capital gains taxes, statutory tax rates have a big effect on investment through the user cost of capital. If the dividend tax is going to go up, then there are a lot of firms that are going to be hurt significantly by that. And they today would be paring back their capital spending in anticipation of higher taxes in the future. Businesses look to the future when they decide what they're going to do. And right now, there are a heck of a lot of businesses that think that their taxes are going to be higher, and they're therefore appropriately not investing. And so you absolutely see it in the investment data. It's one of the reasons why that this recovery has been so slow, is that businesses have a lot of cash and are not making a lot of investment.
What do you think? So your point is this does not help the economy. In fact, it hurts the economy.
That's right. And in fact, you could go back and look at the writings of even Keynes himself, who I think would have quite vehemently opposed President Obama's stimulus approach. That Keynes was a business cycle scholar who identified very early on that business cycles, recessions, and recoveries tend to be driven by investment because consumers are pretty steady, but investment can be really wildly fluctuating. It can go way down and way up. And so Keynes's view of the sort of problem of stabilization policy was to try to stabilize investment and not to really focus on consumption. And I think that one reason why we've had such a disappointing recovery is that we haven't really addressed the fundamental reason why investment is so weak, which is that we're a really unattractive place for investors to invest right now.
Right. Well, one of our questions Republicans are often asked is, why don't you just accept the higher tax rates? Because it would be politically very convenient. And the answer is, it doesn't solve the economy, it hurts it. It doesn't solve the deficit. I think it's 8 days of federal spending. It's not a serious deficit proposal. Dr. Zandi, I've often disagreed with you on some of your analysis of stimulus and other issues, but I think you're right in that the credit rating agencies are looking for a plan that ultimately lowers that GDP to debt ratio. I don't think there's a magic number, but I do think the focus on our biggest drivers going forward, Social Security and Medicare, are we acting to find a sustainable path forward on them, will be more important than, in fact, number on discretionary spending or tax cuts themselves. Do you think the President's plan adequately, that's on the table today, adequately addresses the sustainability of Medicare and Social Security?
I think he needs to go further. I don't think it's enough. I think I believe the proposals he's put forward are good ones. I think they're hard proposals to make because they are substantive. But to achieve fiscal sustainability in the context of $3 trillion in 10-year deficit reduction, I do think we need to do more.
Looking at the Republican plan and the president's proposal, do you see any common ground in addressing those two important programs?
I do. I think the common ground is that we're all looking at roughly the same proposals. The CBO has scored a number of different approaches to addressing Medicare and Medicaid. And I also think there's now general agreement that in the context of the current discussion, we're not going to make any major structural changes to these programs. We're not going to block grant Medicaid. We're not going to voucher or premium support Medicare. So in that, I think that's, we all can roughly agree to that. So in this context, it becomes dollars and cents and really doing the hard arithmetic. And actually, Senator Brady, Congressman Brady, when you look at, actually sit down and do the arithmetic and look at these proposals, it is really very hard. This is not going to be easy. And so I would suggest that in this quest for more reform to Medicare and Medicaid, that if we can say by the 10th year of the budget horizon, we are on the right path, then I think that's okay. Maybe we shouldn't be, because entitlement reform shouldn't be done in a 10-year horizon.
The number isn't the 10-year point. It is whether we've solved the problem over the long term.
Yeah, because entitlement reform is tough, and you can't do it in 10 years, right? Because this is a long-term problem. So really, we should be thinking about this in a 20, 30-year horizon. Of course, CBO scoring makes it incredibly difficult, but we don't want to make that CBO structure force us to make wrong decisions about these programs.
I agree.
Yeah.
Chairman, thank you very much.
Vice Chairman Brady, thank you. Senator